But who do you got for the Seattle Seahawks?
Seattle Seahawks. So with the Seattle Seahawks, I know we have we had Jalen Carter go to the Seattle Seahawks on the front end. We took care of the defensive side. I know Pete Carroll was talking about, hey, checking out these quarterbacks and letting Geno Smith know, hey, we want to evaluate all these quarterbacks. And so, just through the conversation, I do hope that the Seahawks find a quarterback maybe in the later rounds, just so we don't have any. Geno Smith's been balling, Jake, right? We covered Bleav in Rams podcast, and Geno has been tearing the Rams up. So I love what Geno's doing, but grooming someone underneath him would be great. Right now, Jake, I would like to see the Seahawks be able to throw the ball to somebody. Right, throw the ball up deep. I know they do have threats. They do have a lot of threats there. They have two big threats at the Seahawks. Maybe adding a third piece in there, right, to remove some of those double teams. So I got Jaxon Smith-njigba from Ohio State. Just going to the Seahawks, the way he plays, the way he balls. Any team he goes to, they're going to be lucky that he's there. Just his wow factor coming off the screen. Like I said, if you watch his tape, he was a Texas State Player of the Year 6A. And, being the Player of the Year in the state of Texas is insane because I talked about it. Football is king out there. So if you're in Florida, if you're in Texas, you're in California, you're the State Football Player of the Year. Hey, man, sign you up for the first round of the draft. So I like to see him go to the Seahawks there. We have some punt returns from him as well, so he can also play on special teams. We talked about that, bringing value to different teams. Play behind Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, rookie offensive player of the year, and and Garrett Wilson, and you got Chris Olave. So you got some ballers that he was able to learn from at Ohio State. I like to see him at the Seahawks. They could probably use some other positions as well, right? Some offensive tackle, but a defensive line. But you got a guy who was on the board that's just sitting there, and it's like, hey, let's bring the double teams off of our other players, and let's make sure that people can single up, and let's have these guys win one-on-one. So I like Jaxon Smith as my pick here at the Seahawks.
And I got to say, I like that fit because I think you need to diversify a receiver room. And while he does have size, right, he's 6 foot tall. It's not like he's 5'8". He's a slot guy. To me, he's a slot guy. He's arguably the best route runner in the draft. And you add him with DK Metcalf and, Tyler Lockett, and you got to move D. Eskridge into a more, hybrid fourth wide receiver role, that maybe that gadget role that's becoming, more evident in the league, especially, when you look at what the Cardinals did going out and, a guy was Rondale Moore. I always forget that guy's name, but, they went out and got Rondale Moore. And to me, he's a guy that isn't quite cracking their starting three, so he's more of that 4 guy. They can move Eskridge there, who they drafted in the second round in 2021, and then they could move JSN. Yeah, I like that, Cam. I think, I don't know. I think that's interesting. It made me rethink my pick a little bit. I'm going to stick by it, of course, but Myles Murphy, Clemson, come on down. Okay. We're trying to build something here, Cam, on the defensive side. Defense wins championships. I don't have to tell you that. And so while I think the league kind of went through it a little bit, seeing Patrick Mahomes, the running backs took off last year. We've talked about that on the Bleav in Rams podcast. Just the ground game took off last year because teams were playing more lighter boxes, more soft zone to establish themselves against those high octane passing attacks. I think you can take advantage of a trend here, Cam, and I think that's what Seattle can do. I think they can bolster their defense by having these teams try to go big or go home on the offensive side of the ball. And meanwhile, in the back end, they're like, yeah, we're gearing up for Legion of Boom 2.0. Now, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that will be. But what I am saying is that they did go out and get Julian Love. Tariq Woolen was an absolute stud last year as a rookie. They have Quandre Diggs. They still have Jamal Adams. I could see them go on a corner here, but I think they take the best overall guy available on their board at all likelihood. Myles Murphy has an incredible frame. The biggest knock game, Cam, he just didn't get that much better, but he's already really good as it is. So I'm not really worried about that. Maybe I question the coaching at Clemson to unlock his potential. Maybe it's not always on the player. So I'll say that right now. They took Jalen Carter in both of our mocks, but I think they double dip on a defensive guy. And, I think this is somebody who was once considered a top 10, prospect. They get him here at 20.
Okay, I like the double dip there, Drake. You mentioned it. Defenses win championships. So, hey, why not? And going back to just the skill level that Myles Murphy brings to the table here. And I actually have a Clemson guy next. So, but what I like about Myles Murphy is he runs the hoop really well, right? Sometimes you see those drills where you have that little hula hoop. You see the guys turning that corner. Well, Myles Murphy, he's teach tape, right? Cut his tape on. You see him turning that corner, bending that edge, and a lot of times the reason why they do that is because you cut off angles, right? The offensive tackle, when he's trying to set back and block, if you turn that corner, it's going to cut off his edge, and you'll be able to get around the shoulder pad and get the sack. So he's really good at doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just to play at that size, I just was blown away on tape. I mean, again, he's not my number one edge defender in this class, but I think we oftentimes forget because everyone sees the top 10. As soon as the guy's outside of the top 10 or he's seventh, you get the comments. I'm already seeing him, and it's like, why do you hate this guy? I'm like, I don't hate him. He's seventh in my positional ranking, but I still have a first round grade on him. It's like, and I'm not saying that's where Myles Murphy is, but that the point still stands.